Stop everything. You have been deceived. Everything you have heard about quantum leaps, manifestation, the law of attraction is just the tip of the veil. You are trying to change your reality using the wrong tools. Why? Because no one has told you what Thoth has known for millennia. True power is not in what you think. It is not in what you feel. It is not in how much you visualize or concentrate. True power is hidden in a vibrational code that few know, a secret so ancient that it has been kept from the masses for centuries. And now I will show you. But listen carefully. What you are about to hear in this video is not something you will find in self-help books or in popular manifestation videos. It is a direct call to those who are ready to break free from the cycle that traps 99% of people. And you must stay until the end because at the end, I will give you the real practices to access this code and transform your life from the inside out. If you have come this far, it is because you have been called. And if these first words have struck you, if you feel that there is something bigger behind this truth, then click that like now. It is not a trivial gesture, it is a signal, a way to tell me, yes, I understand, I am ready. Because I know that those like you who arrive here are not by chance. It is because you are called, and that thumbs up, it is our silent pact, your I am here even before starting. Do it now, before the journey really begins. I am waiting for you on the other side. Take a deep breath because the journey begins now. If you expand to the dimensions of infinity, you will no longer be mortal, recognizing yourself as one with the whole. When we speak of Thoth, we are not referring only to an ancient god or a mythological figure buried in Egyptian myths. We are talking about a living symbol of timeless wisdom, a principle that has spanned centuries, civilizations, occult traditions, surviving the oblivion imposed by empires and institutionalized religions. Thoth represents that which beats at the heart of all true transformation, the knowledge of the mind as the origin of everything, not a metaphorical origin, not a philosophical origin, but a literal, real, vibrational origin. For to Thoth, the universe is not an external thing waiting to be manipulated by us. The universe is not out there, separate, ready to bend to our will. The universe, in the Hermetic vision, is mental. It is pure mind. It is a living field of consciousness of which we are all expressions. This understanding cannot be confused with the modern notion that you just project positive thoughts and the universe will deliver a result like a genie in a lamp. Thoth did not teach that reality is a shelf of possibilities ready for consumption. He taught that we are the field. We are not just temporary visitors to this plane. We are an inseparable part of the very fabric of reality. And this awareness is the key that opens doors that no modern technique, however sophisticated, can reach, for it does not depend on manipulation, but on awakening. Imagine for a moment the vastness of the cosmos, stars being born and dying, galaxies colliding, black holes swallowing light. Imagine the infinite complexity vibrating at the quantum level, where particles appear and disappear, existing in multiple states at once. Now imagine that all of this, absolutely everything, is sustained by a single essence. Mind, not the limited, conditioned, anxious human mind, but mind with a capital M, what the Hermeticists called the All. This All is not a mythological figure. It is not a bearded god sitting on clouds. It is the infinite intelligence that pulses through all things, including you. And Thoth, millennia ago, was already pointing to this truth, long before any modern laboratory confirmed that the observer influences the observed, long before any spiritual trend popularized the term quantum leap. Thoth's lost knowledge leads us to an understanding that is both devastating and liberating. There is no real separation between you and the universe. There is no field of possibility out there waiting for you to visualize intensely enough to collapse it. You are already in it. You already are. This understanding is not a pretty metaphor. It is an invitation to absolute responsibility. Because if everything is mental, if everything arises from consciousness, then everything you experience is not just happening to you, it is happening through you. And that changes absolutely everything. What does it mean to access the whole directly? It means that instead of looking at reality as an external painting to be manipulated, you begin to recognize that you are simultaneously the painter, the color, the canvas, and the image. What you think, feel, and vibrate not only affects reality, but emerges from the same source that generates all reality. This is the deepest level that Thoth reveals. The human being is not a spectator trying to interact with an external universe. He is a direct manifestation of the universal mind, a microscopic reflection of the whole in the microcosm of existence. That's why, while quantum shifting practices work on subtle levels, intention, emotion, concentration, repetition, the Hermetic teachings dive right into the core of existence. It's not enough to want to vibrate differently. You have to recognize who you really are before you try to vibrate. Because if you see yourself as a small self trying to influence a big universe, you will inevitably get stuck in separation. And where there is separation, there is conflict. Where there is conflict, there is resistance. And where there is resistance, there is no flow. The deceptive mirror of emotions. The secret hidden in the principle that Thoth reveals is not something that can be understood only through logic nor only through the excitement of emotions. Here we enter a level that eludes even modern perceptions of spirituality, because in the popular world of quantum leap, the promise is seductive. Be well, keep your vibration high, cultivate positive emotions, and the universe will respond. It seems simple, right? But that is where the trap lies. The true Hermetic initiate understands that emotions are not the cause of change. They are the effects. They are echoes, reflections, surface waves of something that vibrates much deeper. And anyone who is stuck in these reflections without realizing it is trying to change the world by looking only at the mirror. Imagine a hall of mirrors where every surface reflects not only your image, but also your emotional states: joy, sadness, anger, fear, elation, hope. You move trying to adjust each reflection, trying to make it beautiful and aligned. But with every step you take, new reflections appear, distort, multiply, escape your control. This is because you are operating at the level of effect, not cause. Emotions, in Thoth's view, are symptoms, not sources. They are like the foam on the ocean waves, beautiful, flashy, but ephemeral. The true magician learns to enter the deep waters, where the sea is calm and silent, where the real currents move far beyond the surface. Here is the difference that few understand. While many try to manipulate emotions to achieve a desired vibration, Thoth teaches to hold states of being anchored directly in consciousness. It doesn't matter if you feel fear or joy in that moment. What matters is who you are behind the feeling. That state of being is not emotional, it is vibrational. It is the silent quality you radiate when you are not trying to perform, when you are not trying to convince yourself of anything. It is pure coherence, naked presence, the intact core beneath what passes through the outer layers. This is a profoundly transformative point because it breaks you out of the illusion that you have to be happy or positive for something to change in your life. No, what you need is to be consistent. You can cry and still be aligned. You can feel pain and still be deeply anchored in being, because it is the underlying vibration that commands the field, not the momentary emotions. Emotion is flow, the underlying vibration is structure. And the magician doesn't just work in flow, he works in structure. This is the level where real transformation begins to happen. And now, digging even deeper, we find another powerful aspect that Thoth brings to light: the role of the body. That's right. While many modern practitioners believe that simply vibrating with the mind is enough, Thoth reminds us that the body is not an expendable accessory. It is the living temple where alchemy takes place, and without the body actively participating, no true manifestation can be sustained. For Thoth, the body is not just flesh and bones, it is a dense energy field, a sacred instrument that must be tuned to play the right tune. Conscious breathing is not just a relaxation technique, it is a portal to align body, mind, and spirit. Food is not just physical fuel, It is material vibration that directly impacts the energetic state. Movement is not just exercise, it is cosmic dance. It is the language of the body that communicates with universal forces. Without this care for the temple, every mental effort remains suspended in the subtle spheres without landing on the physical plane. And this is precisely why so many people who study spirituality feel frustrated. They accumulate knowledge, visualizations, techniques, but they do not realize that they are ignoring the very soil in which the seed must be planted. Embodied alchemy is not symbolic. It is not theoretical. It happens in the blood, in the breath, in the heartbeat, in the simple gestures of daily life. When you walk, you are vibrating. When you eat, you are vibrating. When you breathe, you are vibrating. The entire body is a living field of constant communication with the whole. To ignore this is like wanting to play a symphony only with the score, without the instruments. And Thoth, as a master of hidden knowledge, knew that the true magician is one who honors not only the invisible but also the visible, not only the mental but also the physical, not only the subtle but also the dense. This point is vital because it reveals a truth that even advanced practitioners often overlook. It is not enough to want to change vibrationally if the body remains intoxicated, if the breath remains blocked, if the gestures remain disconnected. Manifestation is not just a play of intentions, it is an integral dance between spirit and matter, between heaven and earth, between the subtle and the dense. The magician who understands this is not satisfied with occasional meditations or quick affirmations. He enters the path of true alchemy, where every part of the being becomes part of the process. But there is an even more subtle component, something that escapes even the most trained eyes, something that hides not only on the surface of practices, but in the most intimate folds of consciousness itself. It is here that Thoth points to a mystery that challenges even the most ancient seekers: silence as the ultimate code of power. This mystery that Thoth points to is silence, not ordinary silence, not just the turning off of external words, but profound silence, the silence that dissolves internal noise. We live surrounded by commands, motivational phrases, daily affirmations, mantras repeated until exhaustion. The modern era has taught us to fill every space with sounds, every thought with intention, every emotion with direction. But Thoth, since ancient times, taught that true power does not come from multiplying words, but from their absence. He spoke of the power that appears only when the ego is silent, and in the void arises something that is no longer personal, no longer human. It is universal. Imagine walking in a silent forest. There are no voices, no thoughts, no noises, just you and the breath of the earth. This state of silence is what Thoth called the ultimate code, for it is in silence that you begin to feel the whole. The ego is noisy, it demands, it wants, it pushes. But universal consciousness is silent because it has no need to prove anything. When you enter this space, you are no longer trying to forcefully manifest results. You are aligned with the flow, and in that alignment, doors begin to open effortlessly. True magic does not come from command, it comes from fusion. And that fusion only happens in empty space where the mind no longer needs to control. The modern quantum leap seeks to accelerate results. How can I manifest faster? How can I accelerate my reality? That urgency is already a trap, because time, according to Thoth, is a creation of the mind, a projection that keeps us hypnotized, always trapped between memories of the past and projections of the future. The Hermetic initiate learns to act outside of that flow. He does not desire results tomorrow. He does not torment himself for what has already passed. He anchors himself in the eternal now, in the space where all possibilities already coexist. The now is not just the present moment on the clock. It is the eternal field where everything is pulsating simultaneously, where all versions of you already exist, where all realities are already available. And it is in this space, and only in this space, that true transformation occurs. When you step into the now, time collapses. There is no more waiting, there is no more anxiety, There is no more regret. There is only presence, and that presence is magnetic. It attracts to you everything that already resonates with who you are at the deepest level, not because you are forcing it, but because you are tuned in. Time disappears, and with it the resistance created by fear, doubt, and haste. It is in this place that the real leap occurs. Not the fashionable quantum leap, but the ontological leap, the one that changes who you are and therefore changes everything around you. But how then do you access this reality? How do you free yourself from the prison of time? How do you cross the portal of silence and reach the space where the true self dwells? Thoth said that the path is hidden in something so simple and so profound that most people overlook it. In the forgotten word, in the sacred sound, in the primordial vibration that resonates from before creation. This will be the next step in our journey, and very soon we will figure out together how to put all of this into practice, how to take it from concept to real application, how to make these truths leave words and become living experience. So stay with me until the end, because we are only beginning to discover what Thoth always knew and what your soul is ready to remember now: the creative word, the sound that shaped the worlds. This next step takes us directly to the creative word, what Thoth called the primordial sound, the original vibration, the living word. We are not talking about words thrown into the wind or phrases memorized without emotion. We are talking about the sound that shapes worlds. Modern quantum shifting seeks to work with thought, mentalization, visualization, creating mental images and emotions to achieve results. But Thoth, long before any modern concept, was already teaching that there is something even more ancient and powerful: the word, the sound, the name. For in the beginning, before any form appeared, there was sound. And that sound was not just a physical vibration, it was a cosmic vibration, a living pattern that supported the entire structure of reality. When Thoth spoke, he was not just talking about the act of speaking, he was talking about the vibration of aligned intention, the voice charged with consciousness, the words spoken in a state of oneness with all. It is not about repeating empty phrases. It is not about declaring wishes out loud, hoping the universe will listen. It is about resonating. Imagine that every cell of yours is an instrument, that your entire body is an orchestra, and that when you speak a word with true presence, you are not just speaking. You are vibrating in unison with the forces that sustain reality. This is the secret that many have lost over time. The right sound in the right tone, coming from the right inner space, can move vibrational mountains. The true name, in the Hermetic tradition, is not just a label, it is a pattern of energy. When you speak your true name, you activate not a social identity, but an energetic signature that vibrates at the center of the universe. This knowledge has been passed down in occult schools, guarded by initiates, protected in ancient texts. Why? Because sound has the power of creation and destruction. A word spoken out of alignment is just noise. A word spoken in alignment can open portals, dissolve blockages, reorganize entire energy fields. Creative speech is not a technique. It is a state of being. That is why it is not enough to know the right words. It is not necessary to memorize mantras or repeat affirmations. If your internal vibration is not coherent, the words will come out empty, devoid of true power. Thoth knew that speech becomes creative only when it comes from a place where the ego no longer holds the wand, when you do not speak to prove, to control, to obtain. When you speak because you are, that is the sound that shapes the worlds, the sound that comes from being, not from wanting. Yet even with this precious knowledge, there is one last threshold to cross, without which all this power remains blocked. That threshold is detachment. There is no need to plant, there is no need to water, there is no need to tend the soil if, deep down, you are obsessed with the sprout that appears exactly when and how you want it to. The true Hermetic leap is not about control, it is not about pulling the reins of the universe until it gives out. It is about letting go, it is about planting the seed, tending the soil, offering your loving attention, and then simply trusting. Because the modern mind wants to cling to results. It wants guarantees, it wants proof, it wants linear paths, But the Thoth initiate knows that this creates vibrational tension, and tension blocks flow. You don't create the universe, you don't turn the invisible gears, it's the field. And the field responds only when you are in tune, not anxious, when you are confident, not pushy, when you live in alignment, not waiting. Detachment is not giving up. It is not indifference, it is not laziness, it is the leap without guarantees. The space where you act with awareness but release control, knowing that everything that is aligned will come at the right time, in the right form, at the right pace. And this release is so powerful that often by itself, it opens the doors that were blocked because you stop interfering. You stop obstructing. You allow the intelligence of the field to do what it has always been able to do: reorganize realities. It is in this space that true power appears, not in screams, not in requests, not in desperate effort, but in the calm silence of those who know they are already vibrating at the right frequency, and therefore no longer need to hold back with their hands what is already coming. But there is a final test, a challenge that the universe always places before true transformation, a subtle and invisible obstacle that almost no one notices when it arrives. A moment when everything seems to collapse, when old patterns return with force, when doubt begins to corrode the edges of trust. The Thoth Code, transcending the quantum leap and how to apply it. And it is precisely at this point that the real test appears. Not at the beginning of the journey, when everything seems new and full of promise. Not in the middle, when you begin to experience small changes. The final test appears when you have already walked too far to turn back, but you still do not see clear proof that you have arrived where you wanted to. It is in this space of silence, of uncertainty, of apparent emptiness that the old self begins to whisper. It doesn't come screaming. It comes subtly, saying things like, "This isn't working. You're fooling yourself. It would be better to go back to what you knew." It evokes old fears, old pains, old reactions. You begin to notice old patterns returning, situations you thought you had overcome, emotions you thought were resolved, thoughts you thought you had left behind. Thoth teaches that this moment is not a mistake. It is not a sign of failure, it is the breaking point. It is the point where most people fail because they believe that the return of old patterns means that the transformation has not worked. But in reality, it is the moment when the system is tested. The universe needs to see if you are really vibrating in the new identity or if you are just acting. Because when you are tested, there is no immediate proof, no external guarantees. You are alone with yourself. The initiate who understands this does not panic when old fears return. He does not interpret challenges as punishments. He understands that he is crossing the threshold and that the real leap occurs only when he maintains the new self, even without visible evidence. This is the dividing line between those who break the cycle and those who remain stuck forever. Because it does not matter how much you know, how much you have studied, how many courses you have taken, how many techniques you have tried. If you do not cross this threshold by maintaining the new self in the absence of evidence, you will inevitably be pulled back into the old vibrational field. This is where many give up. This is where many begin to negotiate with themselves. Maybe it's not the right time. Maybe I need more preparation. Maybe it works for others, but not for me. These voices are not coming from your true self. They are coming from the old matrix that wants to bring you back into the familiar zone. And this is where the Thoth Code reveals itself in its purest form. Thoth does not call you to be just another manifester, someone who tries to bend the universe with the force of your intentions. He calls you to be something much greater. He calls you to be a living spark of the whole, a coherent reflection of the universal field. When you embody this truth, when you stop trying to make the change and simply become the change, reality begins to reorganize itself around you. Not because you forced it, but because you became a point of coherence within it. You begin to vibrate so aligned that anything that does not correspond to this new frequency simply cannot sustain itself. This transformation does not happen in theory, It does not happen in books, in lectures, in videos. It happens in daily life, in living practice. That's why, now that we've reached the pinnacle of this journey, it's time to talk about how to apply all of this. Because knowing without living doesn't transform anything. Knowledge only becomes power when it transforms into embodied action. Practice 1. Vibrational silence. Stop today, even if it's just for 5 minutes. It's not just sitting and waiting for time to pass. It's a profound act of alignment. Go to a quiet space where you won't be interrupted. Turn off your phone, close the door, leave the world outside. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and just be there. Feel the weight of your body resting on the chair or the floor. Feel the air coming in and out of your nostrils. Notice the sounds around you without trying to change them, and then release all mental commands. No prayers, requests, visualizations. Just feel that you are here. You are already part of the whole. This small act, repeated daily, will begin to dissolve the internal anxiety, that feeling of having to chase, control everything, fix everything. Because in the silence, you begin to realize that you are already connected, that you are already included in the greater flow. And when this realization sinks in, something magical happens. You stop chasing and start attracting. The outside world starts responding to your state of being, not to your desperate effort. Practice 2. Mindful word. Choose a single word that represents the new state you want to maintain. For example, peace. But it's not enough to just mechanically repeat, I am peace, I am peace, I am peace. The secret is in the feeling that accompanies the word. Start by choosing simple moments in your day. Washing dishes, walking, showering, waiting in line. Instead of letting your mind wander, bring the chosen word into your awareness. Hum it softly, or repeat it to yourself as if you were cradling your inner energy. Not like someone begging or trying to convince the universe, but like someone tuning an instrument. Imagine your body, your cells, your energy, everything starting to vibrate in tune with that word. When you do it with true presence, this practice begins to change your automatic reactions. Situations that used to irritate you are absorbed more calmly. Moments that generated anxiety are passed through with more lightness. And without realizing it, you begin to emit a coherent vibrational field that directly impacts the people, environments, events around you. Practice 3. The detached leap. In the next few days, pay attention to when anxiety about the results arises. You have asked the universe for something, visualized, planted an intention, and now the mind wants proof, signs, quick answers. When you notice this urge, stop immediately. Take a deep breath. Place your hand on your chest. Feel your heartbeat and say inwardly, I let go. Not as a giver, but as a truster. This practice is not passive. It is active in detachment. When you let go, you are saying to the universe, I trust the alignment of the field so much that I no longer need to control, demand, or observe. This act breaks self-sabotaging cycles because vibrational anxiety creates exactly the opposite effect. It creates tension and tension blocks. But when you let go, the field opens. This doesn't mean sitting still and doing nothing. It means acting from a place of trust, not fear. Doing what is within your reach, but without clinging to control of what is outside. This kind of detachment transforms your relationship with time, with results, with life itself, because you begin to be moved by coherence, not lack. If you have come this far, it is not by chance. And if this journey has shaken you, enlightened you, made you vibrate with an ancient truth, then do not let it end here. Click like, because knowledge without sharing is a buried treasure. Leave a comment with just one word, the first that burns inside you now. Not thank you, not wow. Search deeper. Resonance, awakening, courage, something that is a seed, not an echo. Subscribe, because those who seek what you have searched for here are not simple spectators, they are custodians. And know this, every like, every word you write, every new subscription is not a number. It is a lighthouse, lit by you, for others like you. For those who are still searching in the dark for what you have just found, I wish you to blossom into the truth you have discovered today, to become, step by step, the most daring version of yourself. And remember, the world needs this light of yours. See you soon.